Hi. Okay, so you're in one of my classes. Welcome. I'm going to show you how to use the class in D12 first, and then I'll do a quick introduction to who I am. But this is standard for all of my classes, so if you've seen this video once, you've seen it twice. um, my classes are all organized the same, so nothing that you're going to see right now is not going to match how things work in any of my other courses either. The requirements of courses are very different from class to class, but how things work, I've tried to standardize, and in fact, it should be pretty standard across the entire org leadership program for your sake. We did that for you to make your life a little bit easier, at least while you're with us. Okay, so let's take a look. So here we are in the D12 homepage, and mine may look a little different than yours since I'm faculty. No big deal. Some of the things I just want to point out super fast here is that ideally everybody should go take a look at, not that one, sorry, at your profile and notifications and account settings. Profile, whatever, you're asked in many classes to do to add a little photo, but it's a really good idea to check how your notifications work and how your account settings work, because you can set up D12 to work better specifically for you the way that you want it to. And I've found that going in there and editing a few things is really helpful for me, and probably could be for you too. So I encourage you to go take a look at that, spend the 5 minutes, doesn't take long. All right, so actually getting into our courses. So your courses should look something like this. Mine has this organizational structure. Some students have said it's a drop-down that tells them where to find their classes, that kind of thing. You can pin a class to keep it up at the top or not, however you want. Again, how this displays and should work for you is all up to you, your choice kind of thing. You can also go here to search your classes. Courses do disappear after a while for you though, so it's important to not believe that they're going to be there forever. If there's something you want out of a class especially, you might want to think about keeping it elsewhere. All right, so let's go into 397A. Since this is our kind of introductory course that we like students to take early on in the org leadership program, I'm going to walk through in this one, but again, things should look almost exactly the same in all of your classes. So I'm also going to switch my role real quick, so I'm looking at this the way you would be ideally. All right, so what you're going to see here first is we try to remind you of the time and date. Our students tend to be global, so that's a good idea for you to know what this is, because this is an Arizona time. You can also click here to find what the difference is between your time zone and us. So really important to know, right? So that because the classes due dates are all based in Arizona time, so it's really important for you to be based in Arizona time when you're doing your work as well. Important links should always be over to the right: the syllabus, the calendar, the checklist, and then most people for their classes, most of our instructors for their classes, put the Zoom links. We're having to use a password right now because there's been some Zoom bombing going on and some other nefarious activities. And the reminders about when those are, that information should also be in UAccess. That information, will be on the course calendar. All that kind of stuff should be here. Lessons, which is the Google site, which I'll explain in a minute. And then we have a separate site with student support that we found is especially critical for our org leadership students that you might want to check out if you're stuck on anything or having trouble. There's also a calendar widget. I know they're called widgets anyway. So here should show you the next 5 things that are due, right? So this is just basically a link to the calendar tool in D12 that shows you what's due when, to help you stay on track. And then your professor's information should be here as well. So for me, for example, phone or text anytime. I turn it off when I'm not available, so don't worry, you won't wake me up. If you're up at 3 doing work and you need to text then, go ahead, no problem. You can also email. You can click here to set up to sign into one of my office hours. I try to offer them at various times throughout the week. But if it's a general class-related question, not anything private or that you need to ask one-to-one, I encourage you to drop it in the discussion post instead for the instructor's virtual office. That will take you here to this discussion board, which is basically where all of you can talk together. So this would be like if we were having group office hours. You should subscribe to this. I strongly encourage that. This is how I like to do it. And often students will answer you before me and before I would have been able to get to my email and things like that. I do have a family and things. So the times that I am available to answer are not always in 5 seconds, especially if it's anything I can't do from my phone if you need a quick response. So sometimes asking your classmates can be more helpful than asking me in terms of critical and time oriented, unfortunately. I do usually respond to emails within no more than 2 business days, but at the same time, that can be a lot, when it comes to classes, and I totally understand that, especially our short condensed courses. All right, so let's go back to the course home. So again, that's going to take you to this home page in D2L. This little house up here will take you back to your list of classes. This will take you to our course home page, and from here you can get to anything important for the class. And the announcements, which by the way, if you click here, you can search them if you need to see old ones or anything like that as well. But the main and most important things for our class are going to be located on our course website, which is the course lessons. However, I encourage you to get to those via there's 2 other ways to get there, and you may prefer one over the other. It's totally up to you. You can go to content and look at the checklist there. They're exactly the same as the checklist in the checklist tool. They just kind of show up on your computer different ways, and some students really prefer the way they look in one space versus the way they look in the other. And it has automatically put me back in a professor role. So I must have clicked something. So let's go to checklist as a student and see how this looks. Right, so here's your lesson 1 checklist. So what this checklist is going to do, and these are like this for every class, is just make sure that you know exactly what you need to do in the class to do your first lesson. It also has when things are due. If the due date has passed, this will turn bright red. So that's not good. Checking this doesn't actually turn anything in. It just helps you keep track. So if you've done this, you can check it off. If you've done this, you can check it off, which I'm a little checklist obsessed, so I really like that. And basically this walks you through each thing that you need to do for the course. But so for example, one of the first things that this one tells you to do is go look at lesson 1. This is where you're going to get pushed to to an assignment to turn things in. So here it's going to ask you to turn in proof that you have a headset, that you've signed up for D2L notifications, and that you have subscribed to the Ask Your Professor discussion. So anytime there is something to turn in, this will push you to it. However, you can also get to things in D2L via assignments. You can click on Assignments Dropbox, you can go to discussions, you can go to quizzes, you can go to Zoom, whatever it is. We're not going to use VoiceThread and Panopto in this class, but we do in some other courses. And I like to make them available in case you're interested in the tools or need to use them for any projects, no matter what. But so you can click through to things multiple ways. There's always more than one way to get to everything. I just try to use the checklist to help you get there when you need to turn something in for the class. Now, some students find that this and the calendar function don't help keep them as organized as they would like. I don't feel like it keeps me as organized as I would like either. So let's go back to the course home and let's explore this idea of course lessons being elsewhere, like I said. So the course calendar is also located on our class website. So our class website is a little bit separate. And the reason for that is Google site. We use Google Sites, which is part of Arizona.edu, but we use this because they allow us to make these really dynamic, beautiful lessons that just tend to run better. You can access this on your phone. So let's say we have a lot of global students. I have students that are deployed, things like that. Say you're one of those students that really needs to be able to access something that can't get into D2L as easily. Some of my students had to use VPNs to get into D2L when they were located overseas. That makes it really hard for them, but they could get to the website for the class on a more open network a lot easier. So that's one of the reasons we did this was for access. So just know that these links are not, you can't Google and find the class, but you can save this link for yourself as a bookmark and then always be able to get to the course, right? So just keeping that in mind. And one of the things that we've done is embed what we can. Again, trying to keep it where you only have to go one place for things, but obviously I have to have documents to turn in to my supervisors too about the course, so that makes it a little hard. So I try to embed them here so that you don't have to go find files 12 different places. Things should really only be 2 places, the site or D2L for every class. So if you click this arrow, it will open it for you so that you can download or print this, right? I strongly encourage printing. But this also has links to everything. So you could also just bookmark this somewhere if you wanted to, and you would always be able to get to everything you need to, except D12 to turn things in. So this will walk you through what's due when and exactly what you need to check off at different times. So if you find the checklist to be a struggle, most students don't. We've gone to checklists because students love them, not because we loved them. Um, we got good feedback, so we stuck with it. But you can also print this, and I keep a printed copy of this in my own personal folders, which have delightful snarky names. Uh, but so I keep them next to me too to make sure I know exactly what you're doing in class at any given moment, and don't forget or lead you astray should you email me. So this will walk you through that as well. And again, to find these files, I have links to how you can do that, but also this is all located in the checklist. So for example, checklist 2 is the first one where you have readings and things like that. So if we went to the lesson 2 checklist, that's where you would find a link to the site for that particular lesson. And we can go look at that, and a link to the reading for you to read, and a link to examples, and then exactly what you have to do for credit, as well as support with how to do it. So that's our goal. And this is an example of what I feel like is a very pretty lesson. And again, this will resize based on what device you're on and should look good and work however you choose to do it. And that's what walks you through things. So this is how all of our courses work. They are all organized this way. The other tool I want to point out, I'm not going to walk you through each individual tool. For the most part, they're fairly self-explanatory, and you'll learn better by clicking around and doing things. You can't break the class. I could. You can't. So don't be afraid to click around and try to figure out how things work and how you want to get to things and what works best for you, especially if you're early in the program. You're going to take a lot of courses this way. So understanding the system that you have to take classes in is to your benefit. But the other tool I want to point out is the only other one that we have linked here, and that's the grades tool. So we do our best to make sure that the grade book talks to you, kind of, and ideally make sure that you know where you stand at all times. If I was a real student and we had passed probably like the second week of the class, usually your professor will turn on an option that shows you your final grade calculation as it goes throughout the class. So that would usually come up at the top, and it should have a little calculator next to it that shows you how you're getting that grade as well. So again, we don't grade things necessarily in real time. It takes me a little time to grade something, but at the same time, you should know what your grade is pretty easily by taking a look in here. So you can see here how many points each thing is worth. We do use a weighted grading scheme, so participation in this class is 40% of your grade. Here you can see how you're doing against other students. But in this case, obviously, I'm failing. But you can see what each thing is worth, what you've got. You'll get your feedback over here to the right. Occasionally, you'll still need to go to the assignments Dropbox itself to get your full feedback. For example, I leave a lot of audio feedback for students because it's often more effective to hear me say what an issue was with an assignment versus reading it. So for that reason, we leave a lot of audio feedback too. And if that's what you need to get, you may need to go straight to that assignments Dropbox, and then there'll be over to the right of your assignment submission, I believe it'll show you how to access your feedback, and you can do that. There's also help pages for D12 if you can't find it, but I'll note to you if I've left you audio feedback and feel like you need to do that. But this should walk you through your grades. Class meetings are 50%, so in other words, do your meetings with your mentor, go to class, should be good. Right? And then your final assignment is worth 10% in this class. So yeah, so this kind of walks you through what your grade is, how you're doing at all times. And there's a lot of different explanations in each of the, in each class is grades to help you understand what they are. So again, I'm showing 397A, but this is how all of our courses work. Our major tools to keep you on track are knowing your checklist, printing your calendar, keeping yourself on track, and keeping aware of your grades, and you should be all set. So if there's anything that you're scared about, if there's anything you don't understand, or anything you struggle with technologically with the class, please don't hesitate to get in touch. If you're really lost, I am happy to walk you through it in a live Zoom. At any point, that's not a problem. I definitely don't ever want you lost for any long period of time or not understanding technically how to get around or what could make this work better for you. That's definitely what I don't want. My goal, and one of the reasons we use something so simple as checklists and things like that, is that we want the technology to get out of your way. You're not here to learn technology in this program. You might be in another program. But in our program, in my classes, that's not what I want you to learn. What you're here to learn is the content that I have put together for you. I want you to learn in this class, in particular, the science of mentoring. But in a lot of our classes, I want you to learn something completely different than the tech. So I want the tech to just get out of your way and for you to be effective and have a great experience. So if there's anything I can do to help with that, please let me know. I totally understand this is not intuitive right off the bat necessarily. You will get more comfortable with it, but I do not want you to take a week and a half to try to figure it out. In a 7-week class like this one, or a 7.5-week class like most of our courses in fall and spring, taking a week to figure it out is too long. So just get in touch, let me know that you need me, and I will be happy to help you. There's also a 24/7 IT line that technically you pay for as a student of the University of Arizona, and they are happy to help you too. If I can't get to you as fast as you need, let them know. If you have any technical difficulties, contact them, because you'll need to show me if you miss a deadline because of a technical difficulty. I'm not really supposed to do much for you in that case, unless you can show me that you tried to get help. If you tried to get help and you still obviously didn't manage to get something turned in on time, that's not your fault. And if you can show me proof, I can give you more leeway. So keep that kind of stuff in mind. Use the tech support. You're paying for it anyway. Use me. I'm here for you. That's what I want to do for my job, is help you learn. That sounds cliche, but it's really not. That literally is my job. Not all of my job, but a lot of my job, and one of my favorite parts of my job. And I'm trying to make sure, looking at my list, that I didn't miss anything I wanted to go over with you. I don't think so. Okay. Hopefully I didn't forget anything. All right, I am so looking forward to having you in one of my courses this semester. I hope this helped you just to see how they work in general, and I've talked way too long. Sorry. So I'll quit now. All right. Have a great day.